Now, sometimes I like to show you the slightly hard way before I show you the easy way. But I'm not going to torture you for days and days. That's why we're already using the Git stuff that's built into Visual Studio Code. It's easier than the command line for our purposes, so I'll tell you about the other, but I'll tell you about the good way too. So we are using ES6, so we can use new tricks in ES6, aka ECMAScript 2015. And I don't know about you, but I hate this kind of crap when you get into lots of string concatenation and you have to make sure, oh man, I forgot the closing quotes, now the whole thing's broken, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. If this thing got much more complicated, this would turn into a pain in the neck rather quickly. The good news is ES6 gives us a new kind of literal that we can use to create strings called a template. And it has something in it called string interpolation. So what the heck's a literal? A literal as opposed to a variable, things like this. This is a string literal inside quotes. What's cooking today? Elijah, you got big lunch plans?
It's like a little quinoa thing.
Did I say Eli? No, that's fine. I was talking to that one, but you're kind of in line of sight here. That's fine. We'll put your fancy quinoa. Oh, that's right, kumi. Quinoa, string literal, right? Lunch is a variable, right? So 4, that's a literal. Num is a variable, right? So these are the raw representations of your data when you put them in your code. Those are called literals. So this is an array literal. This is an object literal. So there's a new kind of literal that you can use for strings in ES6 called a template literal. And that, instead of using quotes, uses backticks. Same key as tilde right under escape. And the cool thing about template literals is that you can do interpolation inside of them. Anybody know what that means? Anybody use a language that has string interpolation? So what that means is I can stick JavaScript expressions in the middle of the string without having to put closing quotes and a plus and stuff like that. So I can throw variables in the middle of it, like so. So I want a variable to show up here, right? So I've just put $ curly brace. And I can put any old JavaScript expression in there. In this case, what did I want? f.flickname.value. Is it really that easy? What's your favorite method, Chris, is Andrew? What should I type in the input? Sure, why not? Did I really get a paragraph out of that? Heck yeah, I did. Totally works. Template literals. They're pretty nice. I could have, of course, saved my flick name to a variable here, right? Const flick name equals f.flickname.value. Then I could just put flick name in here, make this even shorter. And more importantly than shorter, more readable. Now this line is a little more readable than it was. And it still works. Fantastic for the one from the mid-2000s that had Chris Evans as the Human Torch. Yeah. Speaking of older Chris Evans movies, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, he was in that. Fine, solid motion picture. Cool. Now I can just type a new name. Oh, I have to backspace over it. Why on earth would I not want that to go away when I finish typing? Why doesn't it do that for me? Fine, Avengers. Okay, Avengers, and then Wonder Woman. Oh gosh, dang it! Back. Why would I not want to? Getting upset about this. But first, we've made some progress here, haven't we? What do we do? Let's use a template literal. Use a template literal. We didn't actually change how this works, did we? We just did a little refactoring. Change the behavior with, or excuse me, change the code without changing the behavior. Right? You heard that term before, refactoring? All right, well, that's what it means. Changing the structure of your code without actually changing how it works. Just to make it a little more readable, a little nicer. Cool.